What is most important to you now? So I always say prioritization has the word prior in it. What are you going to do prior to doing something else? So these frameworks that just say, I'm going to rank everything high, medium, low, don't work, because if it were low, it wouldn't be on your list. You have to make the hard decisions, right? So I'm going to look at that. I'm going to look at how transparent is that backlog to everybody else. Do they understand why something is first versus why something else is fifth, right? And I'm looking at, does everything have a clear owner? Really, only when that's clear and stabilized, right, and you watch for a while, can you tell what's getting in the way of achieving those things. Is it culture? Is it structure? Right? Is it all five and they're interplaying with each other? And that's really where the hard intellectual work starts.
So that's interesting, Sarah, because that sounds like full-on large-scale management consulting, as opposed to project management focused on execution and executing strategy. How do you guys balance that? Because or do the types of clients that you work with want you to come in and be in the organization for a while and help them make, long-term structural change, or are there quick hits? Just how do you approach that?
Well, first of all, you're hitting on the dirty little secret of project management, which is it is not a tactical discipline, actually. It is the mechanism by which strategy becomes real. And that's what made me fall in love with it once I figured that out, right? So a company may come to us and say, we're not getting our projects done, or they're taking twice as long as they should. Help us figure out what's wrong. What is unique about us is we don't go in with our, okay, well, you need to have a charter and you need to have a schedule, and your schedule needs to be resource loaded. And right, we're not looking at some best practice list and then comparing them to that. We're looking at the system. And honestly, that's when people pick us, it's because we're transparent about that up front and they like that idea.
Yeah.
And that also
you're looking for the root cause.
Yeah. And that also tends to weed out clients who are not going to like what we deliver. Right. Yeah. And so that is like the main thing right there. The large scale, versus small scale, are we talking about a PMO? And for those that don't know what that is, especially big companies, although I've seen plenty of small ones too that have this, stands for Project Management Office. And it can look lots of different ways, but essentially it is where you assign a department to executing your most important initiatives. Sometimes that looks like a group that offers, templates, tools, and training, and is just supportive. Other times it looks like a department that actually has PMs reporting to it that go execute things. Yeah. Right. But not everything needs a PMO, though a lot of the principles are the same.
So when you're talking about an organization that has a CEO bottleneck and they're trying to identify, is that because of the system? Is it because we don't have a PMO? Is it because we need to change the leader? Those are all very different perspectives. But like you said, the through line is very clear, right? So the challenge is clear. I would refer to that as the execution gap, like the difference between, this idea that we have and then the results. So when you're going through that, are you working first and foremost with the executive to change their mind? Like, what's the first change once you've identified the situation? What's the first change you're trying to make?
Yeah. So yes, to your first question, we work directly with executives, generally speaking. Now, that could be a director or VP level, but we're typically not working with middle management, because the kind of change it takes to get good at strategy has to have support from the top, right? Yep. When we look at that system, we basically give our client two things. The first is an insights report that does not get into solutions. It just says, here's what's getting in your way. Here are the key themes, right? Here's why it matters to you. Literally, these are the slides. Here's what's in your way. Here's why it matters to you, right? Here's what could become possible if we could address it. Then we share those and we actually give the client an opportunity to push on us. Hey, I'm not sure that's right, and here's why, and maybe you didn't see this document, but here's what we've got. Doesn't often change our perspective, but sometimes it does, and we want to make sure we're on the same page before we get to recommendations. Mm-hmm. The thing I will say about recommendations is, well, two things. One is we employ a crawl, walk, run philosophy. So we don't want to hand them recommendations they're not going to see any value from for 1 to 2 years. We want to alleviate what pain we can early on. The second thing, getting to your earlier question of, do we typically work with clients for multiple years or for a short period of time? We build our recommendations as self-contained and detailed enough that if that CEO wanted to do everything themselves or through their people without us, they could. They have enough context to know exactly what they need to do. Or they can hire us to help implement. And I would say we have clients who do both approaches and are wildly happy either way, right? Yep. So, and usually it depends on the complexity and how much, expertise that client feels that they have internally relative to what we're recommending.